This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome to the Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, February the 22nd, in the year 2020, before COVID hit, the Carolina Hurricanes were playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in a nondescript hockey game. The Canes were coming into this game 34, 22, and 4, and the Leafs were 32, 22, and 8. So it seemed like a weird inter-division matchup, as Carolina represented the Metropolitan, Toronto the Atlantic. The game became a highlight after both Toronto and Carolina took a penalty early on. James Reimer had a problem. He got bumped in the net, and he also may have strained something. So Carolina was without Reimer, former Leaf goalie, for the rest of the game as he was yanked for Peter Mrazek. Mrazek, who would soon go on to play for the Leafs, among other teams, was in net for Carolina. And he played a fair bit of the game. Toronto started off strong with the first goal of the game as Alex Kerfoot put up his ninth from Jake Muzzin and Kasperi Kapanen. All three of those members are not on the Leafs anymore. Carolina did not care as they would put up 3 straight goals themselves in the second period. Lucas Wallmark from Brock McGinn, Nino Niederreiter from Martin Necas and Jake Gardner from relief, and Warren Foegele from Joel Edmondson and Jordan Staal. So they were putting up the numbers. However, Kyle Clifford, after seeing a loose puck at the 11:19 mark of the second period, charged at the puck. And so too was Mrazek, charging out of the net to try to calm the puck down. Unfortunately, you can kind of guess what happened next. Boom! As the two of them collided, Clifford put Mrazek to the ice and all hell broke loose. Mrazek was hurt and Clifford was given a 5-minute game for charging. So it looked like the Leafs were without Kyle Clifford for the game. But Carolina had their own problems. Could Reimer have been safe enough to come back into the net or not? That was hard pressed. The NHL had this thing called the emergency goalie rule that said that a person would be the emergency goalie for either team. So it ended up being the Toronto Marlies or the Leafs AHL affiliate, their Zamboni driver David Ayres, who was dressed as the emergency goalie for either Toronto or Carolina. It didn't matter. Unfortunately for Carolina, they were in trouble. They were not sure Reimer would be back, so Carolina needed a goalie. So they went with the emergency goalie system, and David Ayres was ready to go, and he was happy. So Ayres would wear number 90 for Carolina. His jersey was made, and strange enough, his goalie mask had the Marley colors for the Leafs. So practically, the Leafs would have to face their AHL Zamboni driver, like as an opponent. All that. Another bit of good news was that Toronto got lucky as the refs refused the game misconduct and said that Clifford would only get a 2-minute charging penalty. So David Ayres was in the net. And people are thinking that this is a gimme for the Leafs, as they look pretty good. However, on the Clifford penalty on the power play, Turfel Tervalainen scored from Snashnikov, either Snashnikov and Sebastian Aho to make it 4-1 Carolina. However, the Leafs would find a chink in Ayres' armor as John Tavares would score from Tyson Barrie and Willie Nylander, and then Peter Engvall would score from Barrie and Kasperi Kapanen. So it looked like the Leafs were going to come back. It was 4-3 Carolina after 2 periods, and people were like, well, Toronto's going to win for sure because they found something for Ayres. However, Carolina's head coach Brandon told his team protect your goalie at all costs. And so they did. And it worked out because in the first minute of the third period, Warren Fogle scored, and then Martin Nikas at 3:44 scored. The Leafs tried desperately. They peppered Ayres they put 10 shots on Ayres. But thanks to Carolina's defense, only 2 went in past Ayres. And for his 28 minutes and 41 seconds of action, David Ayres was the winner of the game. Well, he was the winner technically because the fourth Carolina goal was the winning goal, and he was on the ice when Carolina scored that goal. Otherwise, it would have been Mrazek with the win, but Ayres with the goalie stuff, and the fans cheered for him, despite everything going on and all that, and Freddie Anderson's decent performance. It was a victory for David Ayres and his team, all that. So, yeah, he was the emergency backup and all that. He was the first emergency backup since Scott Foster to get into a game. And Ayres actually was the oldest goalie to win his NHL regular season debut at 42 years or 194 days. That was amazing. Ayres was named first star of the game and got to keep his game-worn jersey and puck. Well, if he had signed a professional tryout agreement, he would have been given $500, but he was not paid. People were doing all that stuff to congratulate and all that. The Leaf fans actually were happy with David Ayres and all that. So it was just amazing and all that. The fact of the matter was that David Ayres was an anomaly. And the fact of the matter also was that he had kidney problems and he got a kidney from a donor. So he was actually playing as a kidney donor. Well, as a person who received a kidney, a recipient. David Ayres made the rounds on lots of shows and all that. The Carolina broadcasters would call this the true Miracle on Ice as well, because 40 years prior, on February 22nd, 1980, was when the Miracle on Ice happened. So David Ayres did his job. And he helped Carolina beat Toronto, get the first star, and the Leaf fans were applauding for him. The weird thing was that David Ayres would make the rounds on TSN a few days later, as that was the trade deadline and all that. But yeah, he had a lot of things going on. There was a movie that was considered being made about David Ayres, but nothing really has materialized. Unfortunately, of course, as you know, the 2020 season would soon go down as COVID-stricken, as COVID would ruin sports a month later. What's even more shocking was that a week after the game, on February 29th, I would suffer my own loss, in a sense. Yeah, I'm a Leaf fan, and my team lost, but that pales in comparison to the loss I suffered the next Saturday night, as my dad passed away from pneumonia. So that was just an unhappy ending, in a sense, for me. Little did I know that, after the Leafs got taken out by Carolina and their backup goal and their third string goalie, that I would suffer a greater loss the next week. But that's just life for you. Anyway, I'm Jeff. I'm going to do.